The Columbus City Council meeting for January 16th, 2022 23 will come to order in compliance with the Open Meeting Act, Nebraska Revised Statute 84-1407. A current copy of this act is posted in this meeting room. Madam Clerk, would you please call roll?
Bulkley.
Here.
Augustine Schulte.
Here.
Barr.
Here.
Hemer.
Here.
Jablonski. Lohr.
Here.
Lopez. Roth.
Here.
Schilling.
Here.
Mayor Bulkley, the roll has been called.
Thank you. Mrs. Council President.
Our Father, thank you for the opportunity to serve our fellow citizens. Please give us your wisdom and guidance to make the proper decisions entrusted to this governmental body. May our conduct show respect, honor, and courtesy to each other, as well as to all our citizens. Amen.
Amen.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rockets' red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Good evening. I welcome everyone to tonight's council meeting. If at any time during our meeting this evening anyone in our audience would like to come before us, we'd ask that you please come forward, state your name and address, and we'd ask that you keep any comments you may have to 5 minutes or less. With that, we'll move on to the consent agenda.
Item 4, consent agenda. The following items are considered to be routine by the City Council and will be enacted by one motion. There will be no separate discussion of these items unless a City Council member or citizen so requests, in which event the item will be removed from consent status and considered in its normal sequence on the agenda. Item 4A, minutes of the January 3rd, 2023 City Council meeting. Item 4B, resolution number R23-07, approving the request of Tour de Nebraska to camp overnight in Pawnee Park, Tuesday, June 20th, 2023. The Board of Park Commissioners recommends approval. Item 4C, resolution number R23-08, approving the drainage easement agreement with Granville Custom Homes for Meadow Ridge 9th Edition, Block B, lots 4 and 5, 42nd Street east of 56th Avenue. Item 4D, resolution number R23-09, approving the drainage easement agreement with Meadow Ridge Properties LLC for Meadow Ridge 10th Edition, Block A, lots 3 and 4, Block B, lots 2 and 3, 37th Street west of 50th Avenue. Item 4E, resolution number R23-10, approving the drainage easement agreement with Meadow Ridge Properties LLC for north half of the southwest quarter of the southeast quarter, section 11, township 17 north, range 1 west, north of 42nd Street and east of 56th Avenue. Item 4F, resolution number R22-11, approving the application of Brad S. Luxinger, Christine C. Luxinger, and Todd A. Luxinger for agricultural deferment of special assessments relating to Street Improvement District number 185, East 14th Avenue and Cozy Drive. A council member asked me to just briefly explain that an agricultural deferment is allowed on a street improvement district so long as the use is agricultural in nature, but once the land is platted or becomes urban in nature, those deferments will have to be paid. Just as a reminder, item 4G is resolution number R23-12, authorizing payment of various improvement projects. Item 4H, Finance Department reports, and item 4I, payroll and bills on file. Mr. Mayor and Council, is there anything you would like removed from consent status?
Mr. Mayor, I move that the items on the consent agenda be approved as presented.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to approve. Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor signify by aye. Those opposed, nay. Motion passes. Brings us up to special presentations.
Item 6A, request of Michaela Purcell, DNAP, CRNA, for proclamation declaring January 22nd through 28th, 2023 as Certified Registered Nurse Anesthetist Week.
It is a mouthful. Yes. We do have a proclamation this evening. Whereas Certified Registered Nurse Anesthetists, CRNAs, are advanced practice registered nurses providing anesthesia care to patients in the United States for more than 150 years. CRNAs are the original anesthesia experts and among the nation's most trusted professionals. Whereas legislation passed by Congress in 1986 made nurse anesthetists the first nursing specialty to be accorded direct reimbursement rights by Medicare. And whereas CRNAs are primary anesthetist providers in rural communities and continue to be the primary provider of anesthetist care to U.S. military personnel. And whereas CRNAs practice in every setting in which anesthesia is delivered, from traditional hospital surgical suites to obstetrical delivery rooms, to critical access hospitals, from ambulatory surgical centers to offices of dentists, podiatrists, pain management specialists, and more. Whereas CNRAs qualify to make independent judgments regarding all aspects of anesthesia care based on their education, training, and licenses. And whereas CNRAs are trusted anesthesia experts on the front lines, caring for patients safely and compassionately, delivering specialized, cost-effective care to all patients, from newborns to seniors, for every type of procedure in all types of facilities. And whereas CRNAs courageously are serving on the front lines of the ongoing coronavirus pandemic, using their advanced skills in airway management, intubation, and ventilator management to care for the sickest of patients. And now, therefore, I, James B. Bulkley, Mayor of the City of Columbus, do hereby proclaim the week of January 22 through 28th, 2023 as National CRNA Week, to recognize the importance of the certified registered nurse anesthetist and their role in providing high-quality care for the public.
Item 6B, State of the City Address by Mayor Bulkley.
So I'm not done yet. Thank you. I would like to give you an update, my perspective on the state of the City of Columbus. The state of the city is good. Our dynamic community continues to grow and thrive. Everywhere you turn in Columbus, you witness this growth happening. You need to look no further than outside the door and across the street, the community building. To watch the progress of this project as it has moved along has been extremely impressive. I constantly receive comments about how this project is moving along and how they believe it will transform downtown. We just finished a downtown revitalization study, and downtown business owners are very close to bringing a recommendation for a downtown business district forward to the City Council. And wrap your head around this regarding this new structure: on time and on budget. Can you imagine, in today's world of labor issues, inflation, and supply chain delays? I must applaud Boyd Jones, city staff, and all those associated with this project. The Southside Fire Station, Charlie Lewis, has begun its renovation, expansion, and construction. We look forward to completing this facility this coming year. This expansion will allow for eventual full-time staffing as we continue to grow our full-time firefighter staff. Major arterial roadways were reconstructed, providing safer and better traffic through our community this year. East 14th Avenue, 48th Avenue, 15th Street, 23rd Street West to 54th Avenue, just to name a few. Continuation of the citywide trail system, including completion of the Powerhouse Trail, connecting the existing trails around the hospital campus and Lake Esther to those trails north of Columbus and around Lake Babcock and Lake North. Expansion of the city fiber network, connecting many parks and public facilities. This will allow for future public Wi-Fi. This will help pave the way for paying for services and products with credit and debit cards. This new fiber optic network will also improve video security and efficiencies within city departments. The lighting of 33rd Avenue Viaduct. I have to say, the positive feedback regarding this project has been unbelievable. I am constantly asked who had the idea. Hey, that is so neat. Speaking of viaducts, we continue to work with Wilson and Company regarding our downtown viaduct, following up on surveys and developing options to take to the public. The point is, this project is alive and moving forward. Last fall, we were able to reopen the damaged portion of Quail Run Golf Course. This spring, we are hoping for some good moisture from Mother Nature to add the finishing touches. But after extensive efforts by staff and cooperation with FEMA, the course is close to where we were prior to the flood of 2019. Parks and Rec continue to be a huge part of what is happening in our community. With the survey of our recently completed Park and Rec, we are moving forward with prioritizing the needs and wants of our community. We are engaging our park board to give them more information about budgets and funding available so they can help make appropriate decisions on spending. As our community grows, we must offer the amenities that citizens expect. From walking trails, ball fields, soccer fields, tennis, pickleball courts, aquatics, golf courses, and much more. We must continue to evaluate the needs and allocate the funding in the most productive way. And we know we will not please everyone, so we must prioritize and follow a system to maximize the dollars available. Examples of recent improvements: the recently installed lights at Pawnee Park Legion Field, the reorganization of our aquatic center, the new family water slide installed at Pawnee Plunge, adding another new amenity to this facility. I have to tell you that often during the summer when that parking lot is busy, I take a drive through it and it constantly amazes me the out-of-town cars that are there. It truly is a destination for many. Housing continues to be a challenge. I think it is safe to say the need for more housing in Columbus will never go away. Because our community continues to grow, so does the need for more housing of all kinds: workforce housing, affordable housing, apartments, duplexes, townhomes. A housing study from last year indicated that Columbus needed 150 doors a year just to stay even. We must continue our partnership with other agencies, NeighborWorks, Habitat for Humanity, Lutheran Family Services, just to name a few, and continue to look at creative ways to increase construction. Daycare, childcare has come to the front and center as a need within our community. We cannot grow our workforce without adequate facilities or places for our children. Funding through LB 840 has allowed us to help with new facilities that are addressing this need. We continue to value the safety and well-being of our citizens. Staffing of police, fire, and communication specialists at our JCC has been and will remain a top priority of this office. Columbus is one of the safest communities among our peer communities, and we will keep it that way. We constantly hear about how high our property taxes are, and I do not argue with you. But I just want to point out that, yes, property taxes are very important to our budget. But remember, the city only represents 16% of your property tax dollar. That is correct. Out of every $100 of your property tax, only $16 goes to the city. The other $84 go to school, county, college, NRD, ESU, and Ag Society. Sales tax revenue continues to be strong. We finished 2021-22 with over $9 million in sales tax revenue. Yes, some of this growth is attributed to online shopping, but let's give credit to Columbus and our surrounding residents for shopping local. We are blessed to have dedicated workers that recognize the job is to serve the needs of the public. They are on duty or call 24/7, 365. They make sure your water comes out of the tap, your toilet flushes, the snow gets plowed, your parks get maintained, that police, fire, and communication personnel respond when needed. This all happens because of leadership, and it all starts at the top with Administrator Vasicek, who has installed a work ethic and regiment that department heads follow, and it flows down to the newest hire. This is also apparent within the council that works together to find the common good. We might not always agree, and I encourage those that don't to express their feelings and vote their conviction. But when it's over, we are united for the good of Columbus. I would be remiss if I didn't give a shout out to our past councilman, Dennis Creshaw, and thank Dennis for his 8 years of service to our community. Being a lifelong resident, Dennis brought valuable insight into the needs of Columbus. And I must welcome our newest member, Catherine Cat Lopez. She brings with her a totally different background and a wealth of knowledge that is so valuable as our diverse community grows. Last year was awesome, and I expect nothing less from the coming year. The completion and move into the community building, the opening of temporary gaming at Ag Park as Caesars continues construction on their new facility, Girard Park tennis court renovations, master plan for Pawnee and Girard Park, continued moving forward on the downtown viaduct needs, a splash pad in Centennial Park, just to highlight a few good things that will be happening. All of this along with the beginning of the reconstruction of Highway 30, 23rd Street. This 3-year project will certainly be challenging. We must do our best to navigate the construction and support our businesses while this is going on. Above all, we must not lose sight of how good it will be when completed. I began by telling you the state of our city is good. I end by telling you I am confident that what we have put in motion for fiscal year 22-23 will keep the state of our city good. Governor Pillen reminded us in his inaugural speech that there is no place like Nebraska. And I take that one step further and tell you there is no place better in Nebraska than Columbus. I am blessed to be your mayor. Thank you. All right, we'll move on to
Reports of city offices. 9A, Public Works Department, report on supply shortage of water meter radios. Mr. Saliva?
Good evening. Chuck Slivis, City of Columbus Public Works Director. We just wanted to come forward and explain to the council and the viewing public that we've been struggling with supply chain demand on our radio units for our new radio system. This has been about a 2-year, maybe almost 3 by the time we started everything. And about the time we started to do our battery change outs and upgrade to the fixed base system, COVID hit. We got hit with shutdowns, supply chain demands, short orders, no orders being delivered. So it put us behind the curve on repairs, replacements, and upgrades of the radio units. So where we're at today, that puts us with having to estimate a certain amount of meters at this given time, because we simply can't, we're getting maybe 20 to 30, if we're lucky, radios a month out of our orders. So that puts it to the estimating on your water bill. So if we go to that next slide, you'll see that's your typical water bill. On that right side column is just your billing information. On that left-hand side, you'll see below there the meter information reading, and that third line over it says read type. On this one specifically, it says A, which is an automatic reading, which it read and it's reading. So that meter is working. So we'll go to that next page, and that just points to that display where it states what your meter is reading. So, and then if you were getting estimated, you're gonna see an E in that spot. So that would, give you indication that you're not getting a true reading from that meter now because of a defect in the battery or a cut wire, or it could be several things, no read list. But a majority of it's just batteries are going, and we can't get the replacement material to replace them. So in an estimate, it'll go back and take your last 3-year readings for that certain month that we're reading and average that reading. So you could be spot on, you could be a little bit high, you could be low, but eventually when your radio gets replaced, that meter has a true reading locked into it. So even if somebody vandalizes it, cuts the wire, we get in there eventually and replace that unit, get it wired back up, it's gonna automatically send that actual reading from that meter. So, there's times that there'll be a low estimate, and there's times, because with summer, we get a dry summer, a wet summer, it'll change your readings. It's not 100%, but across the industry, that's typically the way they do it. They'll do a 3-year past read on it and average it. So, with that being said, we attached a notice to the backside of the, it's the one prior to that. We attached this notice to the backside of the water meters, explaining this, kind of what I went over, so the general public will see it. A lot of people may not even read the backside of their meter. I asked my wife if she read it. No, but she paid it, so that's good. So, we like that too. But some people get email billings, and they haven't got this, but we're working with BS&A to be able to pull that email list out and to supply the people with this so they have this information. So that's out there. And this next picture is just a picture of that census radio unit. This is what we're upgrading to, and this is what the direction we're taking. We've never had seen issues like this prior to this, but talking with our supplier and discussing the issues with him, obviously global semiconductor shortage is the main reason where we're at with this. Demand has outpaced the supplies. Some of the reason for the increased demand was that now some of the COVID money's out there, and as we did too, we put some projects back off when things hit. We didn't know where things were gonna go. So a lot of those projects got canceled. Well, now they're back on the books. They were, shovel ready to go do meter change out and upgrade. So there's your big hit for a big order going in. And in the meantime, they weren't ordering. They shut down some plants, and it wasn't coming out. The products wasn't there. So supply chain has been very volatile. However, it appears to be leveling off from talking to the vendor. The vendor looked at several options of manufacturing in the United States and doing different components, but the cost and the price increase wasn't feasible, and they couldn't even consider the amount that they wanted to order if they did do a deal with a different manufacturer. So they're staying with the same manufacturer Census has had. That company has added a new production line, so they feel they can fulfill the demands and the needs of this coming year's orders. So things are starting to look up. But we just wanted to let everybody know that it's out there, that, if you see that E on your water bill, it's an estimated. And currently, I think our last round, we had approximately 1,100 or 1,200 estimated accounts out there. And our staff, we're doing what we can. We're pulling meters. We've had some house fires. We'll go in there, the water shut off. We'll pull that meter and put it on another unit somewhere that's dead and we need it. We'll take the bottom one that's been out the longest and replace it, try to bring them online, or as we get orders. So we've pulled all the readers from majority of the city buildings that we can walk in and read, or we can have staff read. So, we have a little bit of a surplus there. So we're doing what we can that we can have control of. Some businesses that we can walk into, eventually we may go to those as well. But there's some that, we got two different style readers out there. So one's not really of a value to us, these census ones you see, we'll pull them if we can and work those and try to replace those. So, and, you know, some side notes, we've got 8,217 residential meters. We got 1,110 commercial meters, 46 industrial. So that's a total of 9,373 metered accounts within the city. And like I said, currently, we're estimating about 1,194 our last go around, so. And with that, approximately 2,000 of that total number of meters are upgraded to our new fixed base system, but that fixed base, our original goal was to try to do at least 2,600 a year, because through our winter months, we can have 5 staff members out replacing these, and, you know, we can get them done pretty quick, but we can't get the parts. We can't get that component, so. If there's any questions, I'll answer them or try to.
I think one other,
I was just gonna ask, what do you do for the new construction?
If we can, it depends. If it's gonna be a challenge to get into it, we'll try to put a unit in it. If it's something, a commercial building that we can walk in and read once a month, we'll opt to do that. So we're kind of choosing and picking.
I was just gonna say one other noteworthy thing, Chuck, might be that the units that we're replacing, there was one big capital project and they were all replaced at the same time in the same fiscal year. So they're all going out
Yeah.
at the same time. So going forward, we aren't
Stagger it.
doing that anymore. We're going to stagger.
That's why we're
so that
spacing it
this
out.
doesn't
So,
happen
and that was a
again.
concern from the start, you know, not do that. But that was a low number on the bid when we did it, that they could have a company come in and change them out. So that was the option they did.
Chuck, knowing what you know now, would you have done anything differently 10 years ago?
10 years ago, I wouldn't have changed out every meter within a year's time. I would have took, we have certain sections, you know, we got 4 different reading control areas. I'd have started with the smallest area first and see how those meters and those components worked out, and maybe pulled the plug at that time, but that wasn't my choice at the time.
Well, and I think it's important to note that this had come to my attention, but from a resident who had gotten his bill, and then it was time to, you know, look at the real compared to the average, and I hadn't known anything about it, and so I asked some questions. I mean, I understand, but I hadn't known anything about it, and, you know, the common reaction is, well, people will look at their bill. Well, no, people don't always look at their bill, you know, and to think that somebody might see an A or an E without thinking they should look for an A or an E, you know, it's something we didn't want to assume. So we had a discussion, and that's why it was important to get it in front of not only you all, but also the public, so that there can be less of, I didn't know about it. I mean, we're still going to have that, but at least now we can have some intelligent discussions with them when the question comes up, that it is something that's happened, that we are addressing it, and, you know, we're doing the best we can in the situation we have, so.
And as Tara said, our capital plan was a 3-year plan, so these meters don't all go out at one time, so we can manage them then. So we're getting better reads with these newer style ones. We're getting longer reads, so, you know, they're anywhere from a 10 to a 20-year warranty, and after 10 years, they start slowly going out. They prorate them, but
Have we had any,
company's been tough.
excuse me, have we had any complaints at this point?
A few.
Well, the complaint becomes, well, it's an average. How did I know that's what I used? You know, well, we're using an average. It's 3 years, and then once the new meter goes in, its history does tell us what it was.
Right.
So
Well,
you're,
it tells us what it is now.
yeah. So your average, if it's been a little bit low, you're making up the difference, and that's
Yeah.
when you get the complaint. They don't call you when it was a little high, and you know they don't have to pay anything. It's when they got to make up that difference.
No, I understand that. I just,
And there have been those. We have received some.
But
of
we
those.
did have a family come in, and they questioned the estimating and the timeline of it, and they were actually estimated high because, you know, there was a couple wet years they didn't water, so they have a credit now. They'll be credited till they get caught up, so, you know, that's out there, and if we, you know, completely miss it and get way off, we'll work with the homeowners and do an installment plan, or, you know, but just sometimes they just don't understand that that's a true read that comes from that meter. And I've never seen a meter read more unless it's a component issue. Very seldom I've ever seen one read more that's being used. You know, we always get that argument, but it doesn't happen because a lot of places would probably buy those meters that read high instead of low.
Thank you, Chuck.
Thanks, Chuck.
Thank you.
Item 9B is the Engineering Department report, status of the Nebraska Department of Transportation 23rd Street Reconstruction Project. Mr. Bogus?
Rick Bogus, city engineer. So I wanted to bring this project up as one of the items that the mayor mentioned in State of the City Address, 23rd Street Reconstruction Project. We've been hearing about this and learning about it over the last several years, and now it's here to come. So I just wanted to get you some information to help you know if you get calls from constituents on what to do, a little bit about the background of the project. So it's 23rd Street Reconstruction. It goes from just east of 11th Avenue to 31st Avenue. It is a Nebraska Department of Transportation project. It's not a city project. Now, we're involved because the city is what's called a local public agency. We're paying for part of the projects in Center City. We also have projects within that Department of Roads project being replacing the necessary water, sanitary sewer. We have some streetscaping, trees, things of that nature. So we're involved in the project. It's not a city project, but it's a Department of Transportation project. They are in charge, they being the DOT, is in charge of all press releases, all information, any questions that come in will be either directed to them or if need be, we'll take them and pass them on to them. They have done a really good job, in my opinion, in knowing that this project's going to be really hard for the citizens of Columbus. They've done a number of things in addition than what they normally do. They've had more public information meetings. In fact, real shortly here, they'll be announcing on February 9th, they're going to have another public information open house meeting, kind of a pre-construction one. They've been getting that information out there. They're going to have a project-specific website. That's not common. If you're familiar with the Lincoln South bypass, they did that on that project, and they're using the same formula on this project. So it'll have a lot of information. We'll host that on our website as well, so people can get to it. They also have a requirement that the contractor, who is Paulson Construction, has a public relations person that's answering their questions and speaking directly from the DOT to the contractor to the state. So there's a lot of things above and beyond. So they do realize what's going on here. So the project is over 3 years. The first phase of the project is on the eastern side. So it's going to go from East 11th Avenue to about 16th Avenue or so, right around that point. And then the next year we'll go from 16th Avenue to about 24th Avenue. And then the last year in 2025 will be from 24th to 31st. So within each phase, within each segment, there'll be phases, and they're going to do the westbound lanes first, followed by the eastbound lanes. They'll provide one lane of traffic throughout all these projects, and then wherever they can and it's possible at major intersections, they'll have left-hand turn lanes. It's not going to be practical everywhere, but where they can, they will. They'll have temporary traffic signals up where they do. They're really putting a lot of effort into trying to get the traffic to go through Columbus. The city, of course, as you know, has put up alternate route signs. So those have been up since last year when the EPA had their project by 26th Avenue. They'll remain up through the life of the project. So maybe that would be of some assistance too if there's some traffic congestion that you can get around that as well. So with that, I just wanted to bring up to the forefront. Like I said, the state will be having another public meeting on February 9th, and they'll announce that and get all the information to us and to the press and everything at that point. Any questions?
Thank you, Rick.
Thanks.
All right, that will bring us up to new business.
Item 13A, request for proposals for concession stand services at Girard Park. The Board of Park Commissioners recommends approval.
Mr. Mayor, I move staff be authorized to advertise for requests for proposals for concession stand services at Girard Park.
Second?
We have a motion and a second to approve the request for proposals for concession stand services at Girard Park. Any discussion?
What do we do at the other park, like Bradshaw and Centennial, is that?
I'll let Doug answer, but the organizations do it at those.
Organizations. We have no organization at Gerard.
At Gerard, we took over Gerard last year, right?
Thank you.
Job, Doug.
My voice is a little higher today.
All right. Although we have a motion and a second. All those in favor signify by aye. Those opposed, nay. Motion passes.
Item 13B, plan specifications, estimate of cost in the amount of $170,000 and authorization to advertise for bids for the senior center entry renovations. The plans and specifications are on file in the engineering department.
Mr. Mayor, I move that the plan specifications and estimate of cost and authorization to advertise for bids for the senior center entry renovations be approved.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to approve. Any discussion? Seeing none. All those in favor signify by aye. Those opposed, nay. Motion passes.
Item 13C, comments from the mayor and city council members. In compliance with the Open Meetings Act, no discussion may be held on this item.
Any comments from council members this evening? I only have one. I'd like to start by apologizing. Last Monday, was National Police Officer Appreciation Day, and I had it in my notes and meant to stop by and share my feeling and my appreciation at the PD, and I just got busy and did not get a chance to do that. So I wanted to use tonight as a great opportunity to share and tell all our police officers, all our law enforcement officers, and all those associated with law enforcement that they truly are appreciated, not just on a given day on a Monday, but on every day of the week. As I mentioned in my State of the Union, or State of the City, we do have an extremely safe community. We thank our police for what they do, and I think I can speak for the council and many of our citizens, the majority of our citizens, to say they appreciate what you all do also. So, thank you. All right, we move on to resolutions.
Item 14A, resolution number R23-13, approving the contract with Gearing Construction and Ready Mix Company in the amount of $3,587,259.25 for base bid for the street improvement district number 189, 48th Avenue from 23rd Street to Bradshaw Park, concrete improvements 2023, 48th Avenue from Howard Boulevard to 27th Street and 34th Street to 38th Street and 36th Street from 48th Avenue to 50th Avenue, and additional project number 1, which is 40th Avenue from 27th Street north to the public end of the public right-of-way.
Mr. Mayor, I move resolution number R23-13 be adopted.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to adopt resolution number R23-13. Any discussion?
Did that come, that came less than what we had anticipated, wasn't it? We're about-
Total number
it was
is
about
less.
4 million was the total. Good job.
Any other comments? Seeing none, all those in favor signify by aye. Those opposed, nay. Motion passes.
Item 14B, resolution number R23-14, approving the land lease agreement with Mutual Flyers Incorporated. The Board of Airport Commissioners recommends approval.
Mr. Mayor, I move for the adoption of resolution number R23-14.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to adopt resolution R23-14. Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor signify by aye. Those opposed, nay. Motion passes.
Item 14C, resolution number R23-15, accepting the 2022 improvement grant agreement in the amount of $15,000 from the Columbus Area Convention and Visitors Bureau for the City of Columbus Arts, Culture, and Seating Project. This would be in Frankfurt Square.
Mr. Mayor, I move for the adoption of resolution number R23-15.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to adopt resolution R23-15. Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor signify by aye. Those opposed, nay. Motion passed, meeting adjourned.